Hey, this is a quick little video to help support the upcoming release of Endacopia. If you haven't heard, Andyland has announced it's pretty much done and is preparing to be released this summer. Though it made a pretty decent splash when the demo and Kickstarter first came out, I thought I'd make this as a little refresher for those who didn't see it the first go around, or haven't thought about it in a while. This is more or less going to function as an all secrets video to help spread the word and contextualize whatever ends up happening in the full game. And believe me, you're gonna want this context. If you don't know who Andyland is, he's an independent animator and game developer. I mostly know him from his looping animations and the birthday videos, though that's not his entire portfolio. If you want more info, you'll just have to talk to someone else or go down the rabbit hole yourself. I'm not an Andyland connoisseur or longtime viewer, I just think he's got talent and that Endacopia is going to be phenomenal. But what even is Endacopia? Well, it's a point-and-click adventure about a boy named Mello, who lives in a world that makes no sense. Andy's words, not mine. It came out with a small demo sometime in October of 2022 to promote a Kickstarter for full release, and got a good bit of attention, leading to the Kickstarter getting over double its initial goal. As a point-and-click, it's your job to click on things and use items to solve puzzles and progress. Progress to what? We'll probably find that out in the full game. The game is more or less in the horror genre, but it mostly sticks to an aesthetic reminiscent of 90s computer games, with humongous entertainment-style interactables and an eccentric cast of characters. Again, it mostly sticks to this aesthetic, but we'll get there. Endacopia begins as all the best games do, with a diegetic tutorial. I'm not much of a point-and-click or puzzle gamer, call it one of my blind spots next to rhythm and fighting games, but the setup here seems a little different from most point-and-clicks. Walking around with WASD, scroll wheel for grabbing, looking, and speaking respectively, and observing your character to get their status. Full disclosure, I have no idea what the status is about, it's not needed to progress at any point in the demo. Maybe it's just there for flavor, or it could be like Amnesia's sanity system in the full game, who knows. Once you're done with the tutorial, you can just click this little leave button, and you're free to explore. There's a lot I want to talk about because I think this opening bit is downright excellent. I don't have any smart words or insightful critiques to explain how good it is, all I can really say is that it's exactly my vibe. To me, it's kind of like if you had a half nightmare about a cancelled Putt-Putt or Pajama Sam game, with the addition of limited pre-rendered 3D. Combined with the music you can hear right now, it really invokes a nostalgic, slightly melancholic feeling. Kinda reminds me of Pilot Red Sun's music now that I think about it, except maybe a little bit less complex. I tried to find an isolated version of this song for like 30 minutes, but I'm convinced it's not posted anywhere on the internet. There is one song called Mello's Room that's in all the OST playlists, but that's an altered version that plays after certain story events. I eventually found a method to record it myself, but it's unfortunate that nobody has made an isolated version until now. This might actually be my favorite song of the whole game. That's not to speak ill of the other songs though, the entire OST is great stuff. You probably already saw me open a vent by spinning on the computer chair, but let's explore the PC for now. It's tied to a small puzzle where you have to notice that the computer is unplugged and actually plug the computer in. It might seem inconsequential, but elements like these really help build an expectation with the audience, that they will need to pay attention to small details in the environment to progress. And of course, this synergizes with the game's repeating interactables, to add to its personality and charm, and also act as a small reward for curiosity. Where were we? Right, so we plugged in the computer and we can explore what's inside it. Here we can see some drawings, presumably by Mello, that give some context into what's even going on here. There's one with Mello getting thrown out of a truck, one where he's being grabbed by this weird creature named Henry, and another where he's counting on a chalkboard, presumably to not get bonked by Henry's club. And there's also this image of a woman in a bikini that... I would say that this is one of the most haunting images I've ever seen, but I'm just now remembering that I also said that in the Sonic Dreams collection video, and I'm wondering if I'm just easily scared. We can also save here, but the most useful function is this doors.exe application. As soon as the door disappears, you might wonder what the point of that even was. But once you leave the computer, a door materializes at the top of the stairs in your room, which leads into a hallway. What do the other 2 locked doors lead to? We don't know, since they're not used anywhere else in the demo. My initial thought is that doors.exe is a sort of world select, but I'm not sure if the game would even have one. So now we have access to this hallway. You can interact with all the paintings here, they've all got little animations. Except for this one, which just stares at you. Creepy. For some reason, you can also talk to these light bulbs, though it's all gibberish. There's this door that says "Do not open," which really only makes me more curious to know what's inside. You know, I'd like to finish a sentence one of these days. Are you dense? It literally says "Do not open." Can you not read? It wasn't me. How silly of me. Let me take a look at who else could have done it. Oh, wait. You're the only one in this hallway. So that was Tip. They're a sign that will give us tips for what we need to do throughout the demo, and I assume the full game too. Not that you need many tips for the demo, it's usually pretty obvious what you need to do if you explore. Before we explore the rest of this hallway, notice how I got smashed by that door earlier? That looked pretty painful. Could probably cause a mean headache, or worse, a migraine. This video is not brought to you by Texas Migraine Clinic, but I'm going to tell you about them anyway because I feel like it. If you're suffering from back issues, migraines, headaches, or the dreaded etc., Texas Migraine Clinic may be the place for you. Click the link in the description and take their admission survey quiz, and you can begin scheduling a free online consultation. That's right, consultations are free, and you are only charged as soon as you consent to continue. Don't live in Texas? That's fine. They help all around the world, including Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and many more. No worries if it's over the internet. Their customized remote coaching system is just as effective as in-person sessions. If I can drop the salesman talk for a second, seriously, go check them out. They helped me a couple years ago, and it might sound dumb to say, but it was genuinely, truly life-changing. That's all. Thanks for listening. Back to the video. At the far end of the hall is a bathroom. Investigating the toilet, we learned that it's clogged, which of course means we should use a plunger, which then causes this guy to come out. He's pretty creepy, intentionally so, considering the song that plays when you speak to him is called Toilet Monster, which you're hearing right now. He asks if we want to go on an adventure, to which we obviously say yes, and says we need a password. I'm just gonna take a wild guess. That's correct. Really? No. Come back when you know the password. Just a funny little thing you can do. There's no punishment for getting it wrong. So we can't go on an adventure until we get the password, but where would we even find a password? Well, we can find our answer behind this framed drawing. This guy is named Wallbank, and he's hungry for coins. If we get him some coins, he promises to tell us a secret. He looks kinda cute in all the in-game art, but let me tell you that the real-life thing he's based on is quite a harrowing sight. Okay, so we need some coins, and we heard some jingling from this mouse hole earlier. Obviously, we're going to need some cheese. We've checked every room pretty thoroughly, so I guess it's finally time to venture into this vent. Lots of little interactions with the skeletons here, very nice. I guess we can assume the place we're in is actually underground. It might seem a little odd at first, considering we're in what appears to be a house, but it would actually line up with the image we saw of Henry earlier. Just slip and fall down the vent, and we're in the kitchen. We don't have a whole lot of time to observe the scenery though, since Mello hears some footsteps getting closer. Just hide in one of the open cabinets and you'll be safe. Safe from what? Well, Henry. Yeah, he's way more terrifying than the picture would lead you to believe. I think it's his bulging, clouded eyes and his individually modeled teeth. Why is he wrapped in burlap? Maybe we'll get more info on that in the full game. Henry will search around for a bit, then point to the camera and ask where Mello is hiding. We can actually point out the hiding spot, which leads to him getting bonked, one of the 3 scenarios where a failure state is even possible in this demo. It just takes you to before you entered the vent though, with Mello describing it as an awful intrusive thought. Just as an aside, but that's one thing I actually really like about this game. A lot of things are given diegetic, or at least semi-diegetic explanation and flavoring. As we saw, game overs are treated as intrusive thoughts, but it doesn't end there. Just a couple examples I came across in this playthrough. The tutorial is written on paper, and that paper is on the floor of Mello's room, for you to interact with at any time. The inventory screen is paper. You type the password on an index card, which is what the toilet monster had just handed to you. There are a number of Mello POV shots when looking at things, like the calendar and this weird smiling clock. Saving and traveling using doors.exe is handled through the computer. And for all the Deltarune fans, even the player is a recognized force in the world. As you just saw, Henry pointed at us and asked where Mello is hiding. It might seem small and inconsequential, but details like this really help to give the world a feeling of, I don't know how to describe it, presence, tangibility. Whatever it is, it's awesome, and I hope to see stuff like this in more games. Actually, one more thing about the player being a force in the world. If you were to successfully hide Mello, he will thank his guardian angel, which, The Deltarune reference was just a joke, but the parallels might go even further. Notice the phrasing of dialogue options. In most games, the dialogue options are either a shortened version of what your character would say, or a description of what they would try to say, but here they're phrased more as commands. Say it wasn't you. Ask if he can be less mean. Leave the conversation. These things probably do also fit the criteria of being descriptions of what your character would say, but they could also be construed as commands, and I felt smart when I noticed it, so it's staying in. The only place where dialogue doesn't follow these rules is a segment after this, but we'll get there when we get there. Tangents aside, we're now free to explore this room. Lots of small interactables, really one of the game's strongest aspects. The real meat of this room is the fridge. It's got a complex lock, but a poster on the cabinet gives us a pretty good idea of what to do. Grab the hammer, break the glass, 1, 2, 3, shapes go in the slots, pull the lever, grab the key, put it in the keyhole, and disable the locks. At last, the cheese is ours. Afterwards, you can just climb back up the way you came and give the cheese to the... Yeah, that actually comes out of nowhere. We can't even go back to investigate what it was. I think it's just there to make sure we can't get back to the kitchen. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter too much. Just put the cheese outside the mouse hole and out comes... a roach. There's nothing else inside the hole, so I guess it was making the jingling sound the whole time. The solution to this puzzle is probably the most obtuse in the game, but still solvable with some outside-the-box thinking. Or, I guess, inside the box. You see, there is no interaction you can do on the roach or any other object to crush it. Instead, you need to walk over it with the movement keys. Now, that solution might sound absurdly simple, and it is, but I could definitely see some people getting stumped by this. Mostly because the idea of walking as a method of interaction with a puzzle hasn't been set as a precedent yet. The closest we've had is walking to move through the vent and to scroll the screen in the hallway. If you wanted to make the solution clearer, you could put something you can step on in Mello's room or the hallway and have it do a funny animation. Just so that way, the association is more clear, and the game is more or less unchanged otherwise. So anyway, now we have some coins, which we immediately give to the wall bank. Sure enough, his secret is the password we need to give to that toilet monster. Cheshire, like the cat from Alice in Wonderland. Well, let's head back before anything weird happens again.
Your time is over.
Psych, there's a boss fight. Yeah, it turns out that smiling clock hanging on our wall was in fact alive and not on our wall at all. Their body just looked that way, I guess. It's now our job to engage in a fist fight with this thing, with the instruction of tip. Interestingly, this is the only place where the dialogue is what Mello actually says instead of being a description of what he will say. Anyway, the minigame is pretty simple. Left click to punch, right click to block. Punching takes stamina, blocking prevents stamina gain, block where Clocky is attacking to not die. Believe it or not, it's actually harder than it looks. I mean, not that much harder, but still. You punch and block with your mouse, and Clocky attacks pretty fast later in the fight, so you're gonna be swinging around quite a bit. Lucky for me, I play a lot of Souls games, making me probably one of the most skilled gamers in existence. I've beaten plenty of bosses in my time, so this is bound to be a breeze. I love these death screens so much. The abruptness, the way Mello's face doesn't emote at all, the animation, and of course, the music. Look at the way he jiggles when he gets sliced in two, it's adorable. There's also one for if you fail to escape the tentacle from earlier. One of my favorite things is that these screens are definitely inspired by Bubsy 3D. Here's hoping there's one in the full game where Mello shatters into 1,000 pieces. Once you've had your fill of looking at Mello's gruesome death, just hit the try again button to give it another go. Again, it's not that difficult. Just block attacks and punch when you see an opening, and Clocky will fall over dead in no time. You can actually look at the body and speak to it after the fight, which leads to probably Mello's most colorful dialogue in the game. There's nothing stopping us from heading straight to the bathroom, but something just changed in the hallway. This painting is now just an opening in the wall, which leads us to this guy. Ask who he is, and, well, I'll just let it play out. His name is never spoken, but he describes himself as a freelance surgeon, so we'll just call him that. As you can guess by the name, he works with bodies, but his capabilities go beyond even that. What you working on?
Just a passion project on the side.
On the side?
Right. I usually get paid by a variety of characters for different jobs. Reanimate dead family members, attach multiple limbs, make a new pet out of spare flesh. I can do it all.
Did you make Clocky?
Yes, I did. It likes to watch, doesn't it?
I killed it.
That's nice.
You're not mad?
Dead, alive, kill, revive. It's all the same. Interchangeable states of being. Clocky fulfilled their purpose. You will too, someday.
Cool. Do you live behind the walls?
Behind the walls is relative. This place shifts every now and then, like an organism. I may be here now, but I could be above the ceiling or below the floor later on.
You're very kooky.
Aren't we all?
All of this is super interesting, but perhaps his most important dialogue is when you ask about his bride. Where's your partner now?
Ground.
We'll get to this in a bit. There's no more interaction to be had with the freelance surgeon, so the only thing left to do is talk to the toilet monster and give him that password. And down the toilet we go. From here, it's just a small one-on-one with Andyland. Look how kempt and hygienic he is in this sprite, how lucidly he speaks as he asks you about your experience. Oh, what a difference the years can make. Tell him how you feel about the game, get redirected to a video of a gagging cat, and the game's over. That's Endacopia. But we did miss some things with this first go-around. Well, 2 things. Whatever, let's get to it. First, did you notice this soccer ball in Mello's room? It's actually interactable and comes with an entire rhythm minigame. A song starts fading in at around 10 consecutive kicks and ends at 100. Mess up the timing even once, and you start back at 0. Sound difficult? It is. Keeping the ball up is all about timing, but your only indication of when to click is the animation itself. It has a fairly low frame rate, and there's no indication if you're too early or too late, so the exact timing is kind of obtuse. The timing window is reasonably generous to compensate, but it can only do so much. I got to 75 before I gave up. Yes, I was defeated by a soccer ball. The song's good though, I'll put the full thing in the description. Thank you Paction, or Paction, or however you pronounce it, for the banger. And now for the second thing. I mentioned it earlier, but you can talk to these light bulbs on the ceiling, and they'll respond with some gibberish. Well, turns out only most of it is gibberish, with the exception of a couple times where it sounds like they're saying der, and ground. You know, that cryptic message the freelance surgeon gave us when asked about his bride. It was actually a key to, well... This is a place like no other in the game. If you try to look, Mello will say he cannot see. If you try to speak, Mello will say he is speaking, but no words come out. If you check Mello's status, he will say he is cold. The only thing left is to view your inventory, which reveals that your previous items are gone, replaced with a single candle. Using the candle puts it on your head, which lights up this door, and opens the path to Endacopia's final secret. The binary reads, "O Lord, we love how you suffer." And that's everything about Endacopia. Well, the demo. Pretty cool, pretty fun. I hope now you can see why I have such high expectations for the full release. Actually, while you're still here, let's talk about that. What can we expect in the full release? Let's start with gameplay mechanics. The title screen of this demo features Mello's head with its eyes removed, even though this never happens. In the trailer, we can see Mello break into a bunch of little parts as he falls from a great height, and we later see him walking around without eyes or hands. This probably means we'll spend a portion of the game getting our body parts back, and that also might mean we won't be able to use the look and grab functions for that time either, which could lead into some fun puzzles. How long will it be? I can't imagine it being longer than maybe a quarter of the game. If the demo is going to be a part of the final game, then I imagine we'll lose our body parts after we get taken by the toilet monster. We'll also see more fistfights in the game, as we can see with this circus lady. That and the Kickstarter had a tier where you could design a character with a fight. I imagine those will either be scattered throughout the world randomly, or all consolidated into like a boxing arena or something. I hope we get more of those funny death screens to go with the fights, like with Clocky. Those are easily one of the biggest highlights for me. We know there's going to be a fishing minigame where you can catch fish to put into an aquarium. I don't know if it'll be important for progression or items, but it looks pretty neat. I like the Seaman reference. That's all I have to say about the game mechanics, but what about the story? Well, given that the demo didn't have much of one, I don't imagine it's going to be a big focus. I think it'll mostly serve as a connecting thread that takes you from one set piece to the next. With that said, there are going to be some things to look out for in the final game. Starting with the player. I made some Deltarune connections earlier, but I want to clarify that I don't think they have much importance. Don't get me wrong, we exist and are known, but we're kinda just there. There's not a whole lot to suggest we have much power in the story at all. Henry talks to us in a fairly nonchalant tone, and saving is done through the computer. The most reverence the player is given is when Mello refers to us as a guardian angel. I could be wrong, but there's not a whole lot being set up in the trailer or the demo. The player is absolutely a recognized force within the world, but we're not going to be central to character arcs, plot progression, or overall theme. Or maybe not even that, and all the references to the player are just an overgrown wink to the audience. So then, what is going to be important? The one I'm most certain about is the freelance surgeon and his bride. I mean, nobody puts that much effort into a character and a creepy sequence just because. It's not just that though. From what I've seen of Andy's works, time appears to be an important factor, what with the perfect loops and all his birthday videos. There's a line that stuck out to me when we first talked to the freelance surgeon.
Dead, alive, kill, revive. It's all the same. Interchangeable states of being.
I see potential for a kind of commentary on time with the freelance surgeon as the center point. There's probably even more to pontificate on for people more familiar with Andy's work, but I am not, and so I will leave it to you. And that's all I have to say about Endacopia until it's released this summer. If you haven't already, go wishlist it on Steam and buy it when it's out. I have zero doubt that this will be a truly special game that everyone should at least try. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you enjoyed the video and want to help get the word out about Endacopia, you can leave a like and a comment. And if you would like to see more videos from me, you can subscribe. I know it's been 3 or 4 months at this point, but I promise work is being done on Deltarune videos, part 2 of Sonic Dreams collection, and whatever else takes my interest. Also, sorry about interrupting the video with a shout out for Texas Migraine Clinic. They just really are that good, and you should go check them out. It's currently 5 in the morning. I've been up all night trying to finish this. I'm going to pass out as soon as I'm done. Assuming nothing happens to me, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.